on his little scooter going like this, taking the long way, and all of a sudden he gets on 2 wheels, and I'm like, oh my God, he's going to go down in Boston.
You're going to ride a scooter, you might as well have some fun with it. You're going to do a panel, you might as well have some fun with it. So, anybody who expects to be serious, you just leave now. What are we doing?
We're having some fun in Boston.
Nobody has fun in Boston. Boston is a very serious city.
No!
We're allowed to have fun here.
All day, all night.
Well, then let's go out and find a place where we can have some fun.
Maybe we can get somebody to take you out to dinner.
All right.
Yeah!
How do you begin these things?
How do you want it to begin?
Nicely.
We'll start with some questions and we'll go and just, we'll have some...
Is this going to be another answering questions thing? Anybody can do the questions.
No.
Let's do something different. No questions.
Yeah!
Only answers. That's what it is. We'll give you the answer, and you try to guess what the question is. Now we'll do it this way. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll take some questions. Hey, so, what was that? I was just talking to you about. Well, he did a couple of cameos. He did.
These people are waiting and you're not saying anything.
I'm trying to add it up.
Their time is money.
They want to know about your cameos.
Oh, I see, okay. I didn't know we were talking cameos.
Yeah, we just did 4 cameos.
Favorite subject.
We did 4, and we're doing a 5th one on Thursday, which is awesome.
They're all awesome.
No. Listen, we did Thor, the new one that's come out in November. That's the best one of all of them. I'm telling you now, you guys are going to love it. If you thought Guardians was good, don't get me wrong, it was good, but the Thor one is like, it's going to nail it. You guys, the director told him, Stan, have it your way. And Stan did it his way. Everybody loved it. It was like a one take.
I showed them who's the boss in Asgard.
We did that, and then we did both Infinity Wars. We did that. That was pretty cool. And then,
boy, if I had your memory, I could really be a success. This guy remembers everything. I can't even remember who he is.
because I recorded all. But yeah, we did that, and we did Ant-Man. That was a cool one too. And then Thursday we got another one we got to do. He doesn't know about it yet, but I'll eventually tell him.
You could step on an anthill and suddenly Marvel would lose one of its greatest characters. I want you to be careful where you walk when you walk around outside. Really. Ant-Man is not the biggest guy in the world. He's vulnerable. Like me, I'm sitting here vulnerable. I don't know what's going to happen next.
You got your back there?
What? You got my back?
Yeah.
I can use it, thank you.
Let's start some questions. Go ahead, buddy.
Hi, Stan. First of all, I want to thank you very much for joining us at this intimate gathering today.
You're very welcome. I was
Interesting.
taught to be polite.
Coincidentally, actually, my question concerns the cameos. I used to watch Alfred Hitchcock films. I used to look forward to his cameos, and now I look forward to yours in the Marvel films. I'm wondering how much input you have into those appearances. Is it a case of somebody just writes in the script and you say, okay, or do you have any kind of input, and what's the general experience for you doing the cameo?
You mean his input on his cameo or in the movie?
Yeah, his cameo.
Excuse me, the question is asked. What do you say? How much input I have in the cameo? Where is the person? Where am I facing? I'm facing that way. See, when I sit up here, the sound comes from some speakers, but I don't know where the person is. And I don't want you to feel I'm impolite. If if you're over there and I'm talking over here, it might get you angry, and I never want to get a fan angry, because I might lose one comic book sale because of that. Anyway, what were we talking about? I have absolutely no influence or input at all. They tell me they have a cameo for me. I come to the appointed place. They tell me, I'm like a robot. They put me somewhere, they tell me what to do, what to say, and when I'm finished, they get rid of me so that I won't bother the rest of the cast.
All right.
Except for Thor.
Thor's the one that he did on his own, and it's
We did a new Thor cameo, and I felt I could do a better job. So I did a better job. Where do you see it? Let's get back to Alfred Hitchcock and his cameos. I forgot I have competition. Why don't I? I know.
Hitchcock only just made appearances in the background. He had no interaction.
That's right, that's right. Alfred Hitchcock just was in the backgrounds. If it was a street scene and people were walking by, one of the people would be Alfred Hitchcock. If it was a restaurant, they needed people to sit at tables. One of the people at one of the tables would be Alfred Hitchcock. But he didn't come out with those beautiful examples of acting ability and talent that I profess and show all the time. And I do it all for you. I make that supreme sacrifice for you, the fans. He says that's why the Marvel movies make so much money. Oh, I'll tell you another thing. A lot of people don't know this. I'm going to let you in on something just between us, among us. See, when it's more than two people, you have to say among us. If it's two people, you can say just between us. I want you to know that these panels are also instructional for you and will make you better speakers and better human beings. Now, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, why Marvel makes so much money on the movies. It's because of my cameos, and here's why. You're in the theater and you're watching the movie, and you reach down to get some popcorn, so you turn your eye away from the screen for a few seconds. In those few seconds, you might miss my cameo. Well, you sit till the end, and you say, geez, I missed Stan's cameo. So you do the logical thing. You go to the box office, you buy another ticket, and you come back because you don't want to miss my cameo. Well, all of those extra tickets are responsible for Marvel's making so much money, and they're all because of me. So why don't they give me millions of dollars? I just thought of that. They don't pay me for that. Hey, you know what I get paid for these cameos? I get these great checks at home. $12.13. I get a check for $8.62. I save those checks. I frame them. One day we'll have an exhibit of cameo checks.
There are other checks, but there's one that I love the most. He's had it for like 20 years. He got it from a studio, the one in the office, for 1 penny.
1 penny. I decided I will never cash that check, and that'll screw up their bookkeeping system. So I think they probably went out of business on it.
It's funny because I told him, Stan, you know, the stamp was worth more than the check. He's like, no, it wasn't. I go, Stan, they spent 25 cents on that stamp for that 1 penny check, not including what they had to pay the people to make the check.
I can't even remember who it was from. Do you remember?
I'm not going to embarrass them.
Okay. No, I want to go home. Have we been here long enough? All right, you're keeping me from dinner, but you don't care.
Nice, Dan. Huge fan. And just wondering, but what was your favorite movie based on one of your characters?
I really can't answer that because I am the worst person in the world when it comes to favorites. People always say to me, who's your favorite superhero, your favorite superheroine, your favorite woman? I don't know. I love them all. I love all the movies that have been done based on the Marvel characters. I can't think of one I didn't like. I think maybe the Iron Man movie, which introduced, what's his name? Bobo. Robert.
That's what he calls him?
Yeah, I said to him once, everybody calls you Robert. He said, well, you can call me Bob, you can call me Bobo, you can call me that. So I call him Bobo now, but he doesn't answer. What are we talking about? I'm no good at panels because I have no memory at all. I don't even remember who he is. I hope I'll get a clue as we move along. Oh, my favorite movie. Yeah. And I love them all. I really love them all. I love the fact that Iron Man introduced Bobo, because nobody could play that role as well as him. But other than that, it was just another magnificent Marvel movie. Oh, that's a good slogan. Magnificent Marvel movies. I haven't used that yet. I'll get to that. I love slogans. Now let me give a little story about slogans. We used to be called Timely Comics. That was the name of our company before we became Marvel. And when our superhero books began to sell so well, I decided I want to change the name of the company, get a name that I could use to promote and to advertise. And I thought of the word Marvel, because I love advertising. And with a name like Marvel, you can make up sayings like, make mine Marvel, welcome to the Marvel age of comics. You know, and all that corny stuff I used to do. So after that, National Comics, which published Superman and Batman, they decided to change their name. If I changed to Marvel, they would get a good name. So I want you to get this. We had Marvel, and what do they come up with? DC. How do you get any slogans with DC? Welcome to the DC world of comics. You know what I mean? But I shouldn't say things about DC because they mean well. They try hard. I guess they're nice enough people.
Yeah!
They did come out with Wonder Woman, and I'm not happy about that. But good for them. See, I'm really a nice, now they're all saying, see, Stan is really a nice guy. He said good for them. I'll do anything to make them like me. I'll prostitute myself. I'll say things that I don't mean. Good for them. Yeah, they're great.
He's in rare form, guys. I'm telling you right now. Let's go.
Hey there. You may not remember. Hey there. You may not remember me, but I give myself the name Mr. Drake, and I saw you last year in Rhode Island. I once gave you a book, and you probably don't remember. And that is actually something that I want to ask my question, because I know that you do more than just comics. Like, recently, you shifted a little to Japanese animation as well. I remember that you made one, I wouldn't say one of my favorites, but definitely an anime that I liked, Hiroma. And I wanted to ask you, what got your attention into making not only standard Western American comic books, but also Japanese animation as well?
Greed. They paid for it. love animation. I love Japanese artwork. I love their type of storytelling. And when I had a chance to do something there, why not? And that wasn't a very entertaining answer. I apologize. That was just a simple, declarative answer. And the people backstage will be proud. They'll be saying, you see, Stan can say something serious, so maybe they'll invite me again sometime, you know.
Well, my actual question is, what do you think led you to making some of the animes like Hero Mine? Like, it was more than just a thought. It's got to be some influence that you have to, they probably
like the idea. If you have an idea that you like, and there are people willing to draw it and work on it with you, and you're lucky enough to be in a position to get it done, you do it. I like the name Hero Man. I thought it would be good in Japan. It's a good Japanese type of name, and we did it. There's no underlying reason that I'm keeping a secret from you. The opportunity arose, and I accept opportunity. Whenever there's an opportunity, I'm hoping the opportunity will come when somebody will say that he's wanted on the telephone, so I can sit here alone with you people, but that probably won't happen. Oh, now you better stay. You let me know what they're all saying. I don't hear that well. I hear the sounds. It's hard for me to tell what the voices are. So he's really my translator. I know you were wondering, what are you doing up there with him for? Who needs him? But he translates.
Let's go to the next question.
Why do you always point over there? There's a whole side of the place here. I've never seen you point that way yet. What do you got against this side? And there are people in the back. I never see you go like that. Oh, the microphone. So you're just pointing to the microphone. Well, I don't understand that. If you point to the microphone, how do you know who's going to be behind the microphone? Oh, there are people standing behind them. See, I got great eyesight, too. There are people standing behind the microphone. Oh, and they're lined up to ask questions. How many are there?
100.
I'm going home. All right, do your thing.
Stan, thank you again for coming to New England. And I hope it's not your last time, but we really love having you here. Having said that, I don't want to ask a question. I just want to make a comment. I don't know how many people, you must read Marvel, obviously, but when I was 9 years old, that was just about the time that Captain Stacy died. And you mentioned...
Hold it. Who died?
Captain Stacy.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned on the program Comic Book Man, what was your most touching scene that you can remember? And if people haven't heard it here, they need to get the comic, Captain Stacy's Death. I don't know the number, you probably do. But was that scene when he bent over, Spider-Man was bending over Captain Stacy. This is his favorite scene. And he looks at him and he says, Peter, take care of my daughter. And if that doesn't bring a tear to somebody, I don't know if a comic can, but it did for me. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for reminding me. And of course, the reason he said that, Peter realized, I'm crying, Peter realized that he knew that he was Spider-Man. And that's why he said it. And he had always known Peter was Spider-Man, but he didn't want to make any trouble. Yeah, that was a very dramatic thing. The only thing that bothered me, it looked like we were trying to kill off the Stacy family. And we had nothing against the Stacy family. It was just wasn't it Jerry Conway who killed Gwen? Yeah, I was in Europe, and I left the book to this writer, Jerry Conway, for an issue or two. I came back and I found out he had killed Gwen, and I had killed Captain Stacy, and it was like we had a vendetta against the Stacy family. So if your name is Stacy, I apologize. There was nothing personal.
Oh, let's go.
Hi, sorry. This may sound like a stupid question. So, I'm currently enrolled at a summer program at MassArt, and I'm thinking of going into illustration. Is there any, advice you could give me as an aspiring artist, or any aspiring artists in the world?
Draw good. No, I don't know. I'm lousy at giving advice and things like that. If you want to be an artist, let's say a comic book artist, you know the competition. You look at the books, even the DC books, and you see how beautifully they're drawn. Those artists are all wonderful. Well, you've just got to find a way to make it that you can draw as well as they draw, or if you're really lucky, better than they draw, so that the editor will hire you quickly because he wants your type of artwork. Being an artist, in a way, is easier than a writer. It's tough to tell somebody how to become a writer, but with an artist, it's easy. You draw your picture and you look at it. And you've got to have a good eye for artwork if you're going to be an artist. If you have a good eye, you look at your drawing and you say, this is not as good as what's in the magazines now. So I'll keep working on it until I can make my artwork as good. Or you say, wow, this is just as good or better. So you grab your artwork and you run to the office of Marvel and you plop it down on the desk and you say, hire me or I'll go to DC. Best I can do.
Hi, I'm a huge fan. Which one of your characters do you think influenced your personal life the most?
Influenced me in my personal life? No, none of them. I influenced them in their lives. I was writing them. No, the things that I wrote never influenced me personally. Things that I read when I was young influenced me. It's things that other people wrote that influenced me. I'm not conceited enough to be influenced by what I write.
The way you wrote, you told me before, is that you don't write for them, you write for yourself. Can you explain that?
A lot of people will show me a story that they did and say, I'd like to know what you think of it. They don't do it now because I don't see that well to read these stories, but they used to do it. I'm saying that so that nobody sends me a lot of stories. And they say, what do you think of this? I wrote this for people who are in their 30s, who live in big cities. I think they'd enjoy it. And I always tell them, I don't write stories for other people. I write stories for myself. I think you can only write stories that you yourself would want to read. You can't know what other people want, but you know yourself. And I always figured, I'm not that unusual. There must be millions of people like me. So if I write a story that interests me, or that I say, wow, this is good, I like it, I'm hoping that other people will have the same taste as I have, and they will like it too. But I can't write a story for somebody else, because I don't know that other person. I just know me. So to make a long story short, I write things that I would like, and I figure there are enough people in the world who have the same taste that I do. So if I like the story, they'll like it. Yeah, that's one of the best things. Wasn't that a great explanation? I hope you wrote it down. We'll publish it and sell it.
That was amazing.
Thank you. The Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, I love adjectives. You notice the Amazing Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, the whatever the...
Invincible Iron Man.
The Invincible Iron Man. I stopped writing heroes when I ran out of adjectives.
Well, I'm a big fan, obviously. I really you as a person, like, I really think of love like a legend, like one of the people who doesn't really come around it anymore. I'm sorry if I'm not big. But one of the iconic moments of you is, I think, when you sort of indirectly brought down the comics. When you created remember the issue of Amazing Spider-Man? What it was. Like an anime. My question is, when you got notices from the comic code that they did not like that comic book because it had drugs in it, despite the fact that it was an anti-drug PSA, what was your reaction?
Well, what happened was, I had written a Spider-Man story in which one of Spider-Man's friends had taken, Peter Parker's friends, had taken some drugs and thought he could fly, and I think Peter saved his life. He pulled him away from the roof, something like that. It was an anti-drug story. But I got a letter from the not a letter, I got a call from the Comic Code Authority. You can't use that story because we're not allowed to write about drugs. I said, you people are crazy. This is an anti-drug story. It may influence some young people not to try drugs. No, you can't use the story. So I figured I am not going to be bossed around by idiots. So I told my publisher I wanted him to take us away from the Comics Code. Take the Comics Code seal off our papers, off our covers, and we'll just do our own stories, which we did. And eventually the other publishers got wise and we got rid of them, because they were really run by people. Oh, I'll give you an example. This is almost unbelievable. But one day, when we were still in the comic book code, one day I did a Western story. I had a character called Kid Cole's Outlaw. And in that story, there was one panel where Kid Cole shoots his gun. And it's just a close-up of a hand holding a gun, the finger on the trigger. And he's just shot the gun, so there's a puff of smoke coming out of the gun barrel and a line indicating the trajectory of the bullet. Now that's the drawing. A hand holding a gun, a puff of smoke, and a line indicating the trajectory of the bullet. The Comic Code Authority sent that page back. It was unacceptable. So I said, hey guys, why is it unacceptable? And I couldn't wait to hear their answer, but they even surprised me. They found it, and I swear this is true, they found the drawing unacceptable because the puff of smoke was too big. So that made it too violent. So being an incredibly clever person, I whited out the puff of smoke and I drew it in a little bit smaller. And I sent the drawing back to the code office and they okayed it. So that was the kind of wisdom we were dealing with. And it made me realize we're not going to operate under any censors in any way. End of story. Do we go home now? How do you know when we go home? We're here on a time thing? How much time do you think? I didn't know these are timed. When I walk in here, I have to be here for a certain amount of time. It's like a prison sentence. All right, go ahead.
Hi Stan, I am a huge fan.
That's the way it should be.
So looking back on your comic career, you've obviously had a very long and successful one, but is there anything you would have changed or done differently?
Good question. I don't think I ever thought of that. No, I really think everything that I did was what I wanted to do at the time. And no, I don't think I'd have changed it, no. Maybe I'd have gotten a new guy to sit at the platform with me up here, but that's not what you're referring to.
Hi Stan, I'm a big fan.
I love any sentence that begins with, I'm a big fan. That immediately endears you to me. Go ahead.
In the upcoming Avengers Infinity War, there's going to be so many characters. I was wondering if at some point in the future, we'll ever be able to see my favorite Marvel character in the movie, Fin Fang Foom.
You remember Fin Fang Foom?
I do.
He was one of my less incredibly successful. I don't quite remember what he was exactly. He was a dragon, that's right. When you have a dragon, he's got to have a name. And I figured Fin Fang Foom was a damn good name. So I had that good name, but I don't think the dragon himself was all that charismatic. And how shall I answer that question? You don't know how to answer it, no. I don't remember what the question was. It was about Fin Fang Foom.
I was wondering if he was going to show up in any future Marvel movie.
Well, you know something? If this interview, if this panel gets published anywhere, and one of the Marvel directors reads it, he may say, oh, it's time we saw Fin Fang Foom. I'm not going to suggest it, because if it's not popular, I'll get blamed. And I'm a coward. I won't put myself out there at all. But I was proud of the name. I took the name because there was another name. I can't remember it now, but there was an Oriental name for a villain that had the same rhythm as Fin Fang Foom. And I couldn't use that name, so I came up. You know something? Nobody would believe, of all the Marvel characters, that we would spend so much time talking about Fin Fang. But I admire you for remembering that. Awesome. I was doing something a few weeks ago, an interview, and every time I gave an answer, one of the people in the place would say, awesome. Oh, that was awesome. And I said to myself, everything can't be awesome, but it must be nice to have to be the kind of person that things would strike you. That person would have said, us sitting up here, boy, that's awesome. It's awesome. Anyway, go ahead, do what you do.
Hi, Dan. I am a very, very, very big fan of Marvel in general.
That was 3 berries.
Yes, it was.
That's better than a 2-berry fan, but how do you know there's not a 4-berry fan somewhere in the audience? All right, we'll let it go.
I'm wondering, what's your opinion on the current direction of the Marvel comics and stuff like that?
I don't know what the direction is. What's the direction of the
He's asking you, what do you think of what's going on in the Marvel comics?
What's going on?
There's a lot going on.
No, I'm going to make a real confession to you. And I'm not sure this is something that I should even tell people, but all right. Even though I look to you like a model of physical perfection, I know that. I can't see well worth a damn, and I'm losing my hearing. Anyway, I can't read the comics anymore because I can't read them. And I don't know what's happening in the comic book universe. I only know when somebody tells me about some new development. And it's something that makes me feel terrible. Because, you know, Marvel and me, I love them. I want to know what's happening. But since I can't read it, it's there, but I don't know what's going on. And that's why I can't answer the question. I don't know what's happening in the Marvel universe. I know I see a lot of covers with Spider-Man and either Gwen Stacy or who's the other one? No, the other girl. Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy, and now there's a Spider-Gwen. I don't know what Spider-Gwen is all about or where it came from, but it gives them an excuse to draw a very sexy-looking girl on the cover. So I can see well enough to see that. I'm sure you have. Thank you. But thank you for the question. I'm sorry, I really can't answer it.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a very big fan of Marvel.
That's as it should be.
I was wondering if you could cameo in any other like big franchise other than Marvel, which one would it be? But just one.
It wouldn't matter to me as long as it's a funny one or a dramatic one or an exciting one. Oh, that's right, I have one. Well, I didn't know it was a cameo. I thought I was a co-star. Kevin Smith is doing Mallrats 2. He tells me that I have a big role in that movie, so I can't wait. But that's not answering that question, which I forgot what it was. I don't really know many franchises, except there's James Bond, there's The Mummy, there's... Oh, that... I could be in James Bond. Everybody else has been in James Bond. I love cameos. Anybody who makes a movie who said, will you be in a cameo? If I could be there at that time, I'll be there. I love cameos. Because you have all the fun of acting, but nobody can criticize you. Even if you do it badly, it's just a cameo.
Here's one that we were going to do a few years back. We went to London. When we went to London, and we almost had it, I mean, the perfect place, the perfect time, the perfect reason. And he was going to do a cameo in the Star Wars movie. And I even got a picture of it. Well, I should say, I have a picture of him in a costume that I kind of showed to one person. And they said, hey, that would be great for him to be in the background. And we get to London, and we were on our way to London. And we get there, and they said, Max, you're going to hate this. And I go, what? They stopped production. I go, why? He's not going to do anything wrong. No, it's not that. Harrison Ford busted his leg or his arm or something like that. And they stopped everything. But he was going to be in it as a background person. And
don't want to be a background person in any George Lucas show. I want to be a co-star. I'm going to call George. You know, George Lucas has his own little city with his own little fire department up north in California. This guy really knows how to live. But he hasn't achieved ultimate success because he hasn't given me a cameo yet. We'll work on it.
I'll find it. I saw it and I was like, oh my God. I mean, see, but the thing about it is that, to me, you not saying anything and the fact you just walk in and just have that camera on you, people would hit the roof by you being, I'm going to find it. You guys keep going and if I can show it to you, I will. Go ahead, go to your next question, buddy. I'm going to find this thing.
I never know what he's talking about.
Hi, my name is Tyler. I'm a very, 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 very 1,000 times more. And I was going to ask you, what was your inspiration?
Well, what?
To make Marvel.
Oh, well, I didn't exactly make Marvel. Now, I have to make one thing clear. I worked with many, many talented people. I did not do it all by myself. I created a lot of the characters and wrote the stories. But I worked with Jack Kirby, with Steve Ditko, with John Romita, every one of them were geniuses. And if you think about it, a good artist doing a superhero story, or doing any story, is like a movie director. Because the writer tells the artist what should be in the panel, but it's up to the artist to figure out how to draw the panel. Who do I put in the foreground? Who goes in the background? How much do we show of this, that, or the other? Just the way a film director has to think when he's playing, when he's laying out any scene. Where will I put this character? Where will I put that one? And so much of the credit for Marvel's success has to go to these great artists that we use. Each one was better than the last. So they did all the work. I took the credit. It was really a great system, I think. What are you doing? Yeah, but while you're looking, I have nobody helping me up here.
So you're saying I need you? You need me?
No, I didn't say I need you. I'll call somebody else. Does anybody else out there want to help me? Well, wait a minute, there are pictures there. Is that us? Who's that? Well, why can't I see me? Wait a minute. That's me from the back. How do I see my front? I can't see my face. But if I look there, I can't look there. Oh, this is really a very incredible philosophical question. How can you be photographed while you're making a speech and see yourself in the photo when it has to be facing away from you? It's too complicated for you amateurs. I'll work it out with some professional. I didn't know. I hope we look good. Still doing that?
I'm going to find that picture.
You can call them tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to call everybody here.
Have another meeting.
Go ahead, Dad. I'm going to find this picture. You guys are going to love it.
Hello, I'm a very big ecstatic fan. I know you like adjectives, so it's like hooray. And I'm gonna make you think. What?
Make me think?
Yes.
I knew we shouldn't have come.
So, has there ever been a character you thought out, and like now you're just thinking about it now, and you're just like, why'd I think about that character? Because now it seems absolutely stupid.
I have never thought of anything that was stupid. Somebody please remove that man. Security. No, I never thought that way. See, I'm the most easy to please guy in the world. I loved everything I wrote. I was my biggest fan. I'd write a page and I'd read it and I'd say, wow, did I write that? I didn't know I was that good. I can't wait till I write the next page. So with me, writing was a voyage of self-discovery. I kept discovering how brilliant I was with every story. Sorry. Did you find that damn thing? I'm looking for it. Yeah. I don't even remember what he's looking for.
Go ahead. Let's go to the next one. I'll find it. I got it.
See, you have to like what you're writing if you're a writer. Because if you don't like it, why would a stranger like it? You have to start with the person who's writing it liking it, and then you hope some of that liking will kind of lay off to other people too. Does that make sense? You're not even listening. I'm going to go back to looking at my photograph. I got one of those at home.
Hi, Stanley.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you, what's your favorite Spider-Man villain?
Wasn't there a guy who could turn his body into stone and... The Green Gargoyle? The Grey Gargoyle? Was he in Spider-Man? No, he's not the one. Oh, Doc Ock, of course, Dr. Octopus. I love him. First of all, I like the fact that I can call him Doc Ock. I love nicknames. And then I like the idea that he had all those arms. And yeah, he was a pretty good villain for Spider-Man. Thank you for asking me. You reminded me of Doc Ock. Now, at DC Comics, they'd have called him Dr. Octopus. But Doc Ock, I like that. Max wants me to tell you that I like nicknames. For example, I called Spider-Man Spidey. They never called Batman Batty. I don't know what's wrong with them. Superman, I think they once called him Soup, but that didn't do very well. But I have nicknames for everybody. Iron Man is old Shellhead. And I called Thor something with the long hair, I don't remember what. Goldilocks, that's right, thank you. So people used to say to me, you can't call a superhero Goldilocks. And I said, show me the rule book that says I can't. Yeah, I like nicknames. I'm trying to find one for him, but he doesn't have enough personality.
Everybody that works with us, when I started working with him, he gave me a name. He called me first, he calls me the zookeeper now. And everybody starts working with us, in the booth over here. He can't remember everybody's name, so he looks at you and he'll say, Punchy, or Tail Light. Tail Light is because this guy, he follows us. He works with us, but he's always behind us. So he calls him Tail Light.
It has to make sense.
There's a guy around here, which I don't know where he's at, but he's our photographer, and he has long hair. His name is John, but he can't remember John all the time, so he calls him Hairspray.
You're probably wondering, if I can't remember John, how can I remember Hairspray? And I don't know the answer, so don't ask me.
because it's easier for him to look at him and just say, hell yeah, hairspray. And then another guy's a tall guy. I wanted to call him Baby Huey, but he called him Belly Button. He has a big belly. So that's how everybody gets names. And at first they're like, we don't like those names. They're like, are you crazy?
These people want to know everything they can about comics.
No, they
And what are you telling
But no,
them?
what I'm getting to is that
You're telling them about belly button.
No.
And they want to know.
These guys don't get it. My team didn't get it. I said, look, he's worked with guys, you know, you got Jackie Kirby and Jazzy John Romita. Everybody that was in the bullpen got a name. And I said, you guys should be honored that you guys are getting these names. I goes, I guarantee you, Stan, everybody would like to get a nickname from you.
I don't have time. There are two. Oh, I'll tell you one thing. Steve Ditko. I used to refer to him as Sturdy Steve. He hated it. Doesn't have much of a sense of humor. So the more he hated it, the more I called him Sturdy Steve. Because I'm really a rotten person. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, that's cool.
Hi, Steve. Stan, sorry, I'm really nervous. And first of all, it's an honor for you to come back to New England. It means a lot of us. And just like the girl from like Mass Art and everything, what was your motivation though when you were probably our age though to start Marvel Comics though and even movies? I'm like a big fan and I'm also going to be heading back to school soon in a couple of weeks.
Your question was so easy. Well, that's what I was trying to get. You're asking, what is his reason?
Like, what was his motivation? When he was like our age.
What was your motivation at your age?
Yes, or younger.
When you were a teenager or a kid, what was your motivation in comics or?
Anything like car comics, movies, yeah.
Well, poverty motivated me most. When I was a kid, we didn't have much money. My father was a dress cutter from Romania. He had come over here, married my mother. And for some reason, when he got here, he wasn't able to get a job as a dress cutter anywhere. I couldn't help. I didn't even know what a dress cutter was. And when I became a teenager, I tried to get whatever job I could just to help out.
You found it! Oh my God. You guys get the camera on this? Look at this. Can you get the camera on this? Somebody? No, maybe? You can sit right here. Look, there you are. Look, you're right here. No, right here. Here.
Wait a minute. Oh, is that me?
Yep. They had him dressed up in everything, and I hated it. Hey, look.
That is actually really cool.
I'll bring it up a little bit bigger. Look how he looks. Yeah? Huh? He thought you're crazy. They won't recognize you. I said, you're nuts. Yeah. Go crazy by he would have been something like in the background and the scene was going on right there, and he would have just basically walked like that and looked. And walked right out. That's all it would have taken. Like somebody broke his leg or his arm and it never happened. But I got the proof.
George is missing some bit, not using me in his movie.
Now here's... I don't know if I get in trouble.
He'll sue you.
That's about it. So anyway, so now, see, that's the reason I told him to. It's awesome putting him in stuff he doesn't do. Sometimes he asks me, why am I in this? Just get in and do it. Don't worry about it. You'll figure it out later. So anyway.
See, one of the questions that I thought we would get, you know, Stan, okay, your writing is okay and all of that, but how come you never made a career out of being an actor? Because you certainly have been better than anybody else. I mean, can you imagine, for example, who's the one, my favorite? The swashbuckler. Errol Flynn. Could you imagine Errol Flynn having to compete against me? He'd be out of work in a week. And they never thought to give me the leading role in these movies. And that's something that I thought you'd all be indignant and all your questions would be, why haven't you starred in any of the movies? But obviously you have other things on your mind, more important stuff to occupy you. That's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you so much. This really means a lot, and I wanted to give a
Did I answer you? What was your question? So that's right. So anyway, we didn't have much money, and I finally got a job at a publishing company. I heard they needed an assistant, and I went up there, and it was a company that published all kinds of magazines, sport magazines, Western stories, mysteries, and they had a little comic book department, and it was run by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Just the two of them. And they were putting out, I think they were doing Captain America. And I wasn't that familiar with it, but that was where the job opening was. They needed an assistant. While they were working, they needed somebody to run downstairs and get them a sandwich and bring it up or fill their inkwells. In those days, they dipped the pen in ink. And I took the job because I needed a job. And little by little, I got kind of interested in what they were doing, these comics. And then something happened, and I never found out what it was. But one day I came to work, and Joe and Jack were not there anymore. They had left. I never knew if they were fired, and if so, why, or if they quit, and if so, why. I never knew why. But suddenly there was no more department, there was just me. So the publisher said, "Hey Stan, do you think you can handle things until I hire a grown-up?" I was only about 17. "Well, when you're 17, what do you know?" I said, "Sure, I can handle things." So I started doing the comics, and I think my publisher wasn't that interested in comics anyway. He never paid any attention. So little by little, I became the guy doing the comics. And I started getting interested in them. And that's how it all started, how I got into the business. If it had been an undertaking business, I'd probably now be talking to a bunch of undertakers. It's just fate. Is that all right? You see, I can be serious. You're not still looking for that picture.
You got another one who dressed him up as Iron Man.
That's awesome.
He said, "Get me out of this suit."
Stan, this is a huge honor. Thank you so much. And I want to give a personal shout out to my friend Sam, who actually wanted to meet you at OSACon in Virginia. And we're close friends, so I was hoping you could give a personal shout out. My friend Sam. Couldn't be here today.
Hiya, Sam. How are you?
We're great. Thank you so much. Huge honor.